So now the Israeli ambassador put out this big rebuttal on Twitter, this Twitter thread. So let's just quickly read it out.
yeah,
It's
I
not
read
very
that.
long, and let's understand what he is saying here. Open letter to Nadav Lapid following his criticism of the movie. It's not in Hebrew because I wanted our Indian brothers and sisters to be able to understand. It's also relatively long, so I'll give you the bottom line first. You should be ashamed, Nadav Lapid.
See? I give you the bottom line. I'll speak tachles. You need to be ashamed.
Here's why. In Indian culture, they say that a guest is like God. You have abused in the worst way the Indian invitation to chair the panel of judges at the festival, as well as the trust, respect, and warm hospitality they have bestowed upon you. Our Indian friends brought Leo Raz and Avi Zakhariyov from Fauda official in order to celebrate the love in India towards Fauda, the TV series, the web series, and Israel. I suspect this is maybe one of the reasons they invited you as an Israeli and me as the ambassador of Israel. I understand your need in retrospect to justify your behavior, but I can't understand why you told Ynet News afterwards that the minister and I said on stage there is similarity between our countries because we fight a similar enemy and reside in a bad neighborhood. We did speak about the similarities and closeness between our countries. The minister spoke about his visits to Israel, it being a high-tech nation, and the potential of combining this with the film industry. I spoke about the fact that we grew up watching Indian films. I also said we should be humble when India, with such a great film culture, is consuming Israeli content, Fauda and more. I am no film expert, but I do know that it's sensitive and presumptuous to speak about historical events before deeply studying them, and which are an open wound in India because many of the involved are still around and still paying a price. As a son of a Holocaust survivor, I was extremely hurt to see reactions in India to you that are doubting Schindler's List, the Holocaust in verse. I unequivocally condemn such statements. There is no justification. It does show the sensitivity of the Kashmir issue here. From your interview to Ynet, the connection you make between your criticism of Kashmir files and your dislike of what's happening in Israeli politics was quite evident. My suggestion, as you vocally did in the past, feel free to use the liberty to sound your criticism of what you dislike in Israel, but no need to reflect your frustration on other countries. I am not sure that you have enough factual basis to make such comparisons. I know I don't. You will go back to Israel thinking that you are bold and made a statement. We, the representatives of Israel, would stay here. You should see our DM boxes following your bravery and what implications it may have on the team under my responsibility. The friendship between the people and the states of India and Israel is very strong and will survive the damage you have inflicted. As a human being, I feel ashamed and want to apologize to our hosts, India, for the bad manner in which we have repaid them for their generosity and friendship. All right. So that's what Mr. Naor Gilon, the ambassador of Israel to India, said on Twitter. And then there were the official Twitter account of Israel itself said that to all our friends in India, please read this important thread. And there were other reactions as well. Maya Kadosh, who is an Israeli diplomat and former DCM at the Israeli embassy in India, said that, dear friends in India, from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry. Tamar Schwarzbad, who is head of digital operations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel, also said that Israelis love and respect our Indian brothers and sisters. No one can change that. Daniel Carmon, the former ambassador, said something to the same effect, and so on and so forth. So that's what has happened. Now let's understand what the Israeli ambassador is saying over here in this Twitter thread. I read the entire thing out. There are 4 or 5 major points that he is making. First of all, he's telling this person, Nadav Lapid, that you should have been a good guest. You have been invited as a guest, and when you go as a guest to somebody's house, even if you disagree with them, you don't say it openly. You are polite. You refrain from saying things that your hosts would not like. So Naor Gilon is telling Nadav Lapid that you should have been a good guest. You have been a bad guest. That's the first thing. Secondly, he said that India is consuming a lot of Israeli TV content, movie content, like Fauda, the series, which is very popular in India, and so on and so forth. So because India is consuming so much Israeli content, you should have been more humble, because now Indians may not watch all this stuff and it's going to affect us, right?
It's not just about that. It's just the point is that Fauda is so important because Fauda is actually showing you reality in Israel. Fauda is showing you Fauda is not terrorists are bad, soldiers are good type of thing. Fauda shows you that also the terrorists have an agenda and they also have families and stuff. And Fauda is showing that the situation is more complicated than what the media, mainstream media is showing. Because people always think the problem is like black and white. Fauda is showing you that everything is like, shades of gray. This is why Fauda is such an important thing, because people always have an opinion, but Fauda is here to open everyone's eyes.
Right? It's going to affect our bottom line. It's going to affect our profit. I mean, the popularity of Israel in India. It's said over here. Yes. Then he refers to unspecified. The ambassador refers to unspecified historical events. Yeah. He talks about that. He says that it's an open wound, but he refrains from referring to and recognizing these events as a genocide. So he doesn't say that.
Okay, I know you said that like people will twist your words and this and why you say it. First of all, that you love Israel, but you're twisting his words right now. You want him to say the words you want him to say, but just read what he says. Don't immediately say, oh, he didn't say I support this and this, so I don't like you anymore. Like, this is weird. You cannot say that other people twist in your words and to try to twist the ambassador words. But okay, let's.
And then he says that I'm hurt as a son of a Holocaust survivor. I'm hurt that some people in India are reacting by doubting the events of the movie Schindler's List and by doubting whether the Holocaust happened or not. And he's unequivocally condemning such statements made by Indians. He's saying there is no justification for such statements made by Indians. And then he says that the Kashmir issue is sensitive. Yeah. So essentially, the Israeli ambassador is calling out Nadav Lapid for being a bad guest. He's saying your behavior has been bad. Your behavior was ungracious. The Israeli ambassador does not refute Nadav Lapid's claim that the movie was propaganda. You
tried to put words in his mouth. You clearly read it and didn't understand the tachlis of what he says.
The ambassador says that the Kashmir issue is a sensitive issue, but he does not recognize or deny India's assertion that Kashmir is an integral part of India. Right? So understand what the Israeli ambassador is saying and what he is not saying. He is calling out Nadav Lapid for his behavior, but he is not refuting Nadav Lapid's claim that the film was propaganda. He is condemning various Indian reactions on Twitter and social media that are doubting Schindler's List and the Holocaust, and so on and so forth.
He's comparing what we've been through to what you're been through, and we're saying this is a problem and we can identify because we suffered the same thing. I know you want it to be black on white, I support this, I against that. However, read the tachlis of what he said. Don't expect us to say the words you want us to say in the right order you want us to say. Listen to what we said.
And he is not recognizing or denying India's assertion that Kashmir is an integral part of India, and he is not recognizing what happened in Kashmir and the event of the Kashmir Files movie as genocide. Understand this. Right?
No, you understand that. What did he said about that movie? Did he say that is propaganda? No. Did he criticize the person who said that propaganda and did not take back everything he said? Yes, in a long thread. You can understand exactly his point. And you know Israel and Pakistan don't have okay, you're a geopolitical person. You know that Israel and Pakistan doesn't really work together. So you can clearly see where we stand, and you can clearly see where he's saying, like where Naol is saying and what he's standing. But like you're trying to get to a point where I'm confused at what you're trying to get here and what your point is, what's the tachlis of what you're doing here. But that brings like a big red flag. But just like I hope I got it all wrong.
This is how diplomacy works, and this is the Israeli position. You can see the Israeli position in this Twitter thread. Now, you just saw it. Here is something that happened the very next day. So please understand.
Okay, so you want him to say, I support Kashmir be part of India. However, you have an embassy in the territory of Palestine, a place that you know that was just like that supposed to belong to Israel, and that people die here every day because of that. What if you're saying don't let like people else should not put words in my mouth, don't try to do the exact same thing. That is so wrong.
There is something called the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people.
And if you want to know more about Palestine, check out my main in my main channel. Check out the first video on the first page there of I Am Palestinian, and learn a little bit about the Palestinian people.
Observed on November 29. Yeah, this is an event, a day that is organized by the United Nations itself. It's a UN organized observance. So November 29 is the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people on the occasion of that day, which happened to be the very next day after this person's comments. So on the next day, the Indian embassy in Palestine put out this tweet message of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, on the occasion of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. And there's a message, in which India says that we have India's ties with the friendly people of Palestine are rooted in our common history. We have always supported the Palestinian people in their pursuit of economic and social development with dignity and self-reliance. We are hopeful that direct talks between the Palestinian and Israeli sides will resume to find a comprehensive and negotiated solution, and so on and so forth, like I love to say.
That's nice. How about now we're going to change the word Palestine to Pakistan, and Israel to, change the word Palestine to Kashmir, change the word Israel to Pakistan, and just like let's play a little with the words, and then you will be annoyed because apparently when other countries acknowledge that, Pakistan and Kashmir is maybe supposed to be together, then it bothers you, right? And you don't understand why it's bothering us when we say those people came here when they occupied this land in the 7th century. You're supporting a nation that was created and invented here in, in the 60s, 50s, 60s, something like this. What are you doing? Like, I don't understand. And also, I don't understand how is that related to the title of the video. But like, everything I'm seeing here right now it's hypocritical. Seriously, that's just like everything that this is right now is just like geopolitical, hypocritical thing.
So over here, India says that we support the Palestinian people in their pursuit of economic and social development with dignity and self-reliance. India is not saying in this statement that we support the freedom of Palestine.
The second that you say Palestine and not Israel, and you calling them Palestinian, you, and not Arabs, by the way, you are saying exactly that you support that. The second you acknowledge Palestine, you said that you support Palestine. This is not putting words in your mouth. This is actually doing something. You have an ambassador in Palestine. What do you think that stands for if you don't say that you believe in Palestine? Why do you have an ambassador there? What's the picture? Why is it says the embassy of why do you have an embassy there? Why? Is it because you support Palestine but you don't want to say it out loud? Actions speak louder than words, and you just did a really, really important action that people saw. So don't try to do this weird game with us, because we're gonna call you out on the ridiculous things and hypocritical things you're doing.
Right? So there is support, but there is limited support. So that is the statement that India made the very next day, which happened to be the appropriate day for making the statement. So it's not in retaliation or response to what happened. But it's also interesting to note that this statement, this message is dated November 2. So clearly the Prime Minister, this message was formulated a few weeks before the event, and it was signed on November 2, and then it was released on November 29. Yeah. So you can see that India does not recognize Palestine as an independent state or does not support freedom for Palestine, but we support the economic and social development of the Palestinian people with dignity and self-reliance.
Sure, but you have an embassy there. Right, that's correct. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, that is so ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah, so that is interesting messaging coming out the very next day. So what we can see here is that there is clear divergence in both nations' views. Yes, Israel does not recognize or deny India's assertion that Kashmir is an integral part of India, which means that Israel doesn't want to comment about the matter. I'm not sure what kind of maps the Israelis put out, world maps or Asia maps, and I wonder what kind of boundaries it shows there. I suspect it would be very similar to what kind of boundaries the Americans recognize. Yeah.
Have you listened to yourself? Have you actually listened to yourself? Because seriously. Maps? How about the British maps? Because the British was also mapping this area and your area. We're similar than you think. And this is, I don't know if you're trying to be a comedian. It's kind of working right now, but what is going on?
When it comes to Kashmir. So the Israelis don't recognize or deny. They have not made a statement of recognizing or denying India's assertion that Kashmir is an integral part of India, and they are not recognizing the fact that what happened in Kashmir was a genocide.
Do you recognize or deny the fact that my land's supposed to be my people land and people can live here happily ever after, but acknowledge the fact that this is the Israeli land? Or do you support Palestine? Do you have an ambassador in Palestine? If yes, you support Palestine. Have you looked at the maps? You know, the maps that the British ruling, when the British came here, they ruled us and then they made the maps. Have you looked at them? You're a geopolitical person. Geopolitical, so geographic is like also a part of the name. Have you? Seriously? So stupid.
The governor, the ambassador to India did not refute Nadav Lapid's claim that the film was propaganda. There is divergence in the views of both the nations. Both the nations know it. Both the nations recognize it. And both the nations work together despite these differences because we have much stronger shared interests. But please remember, my dear friends, viewers, that the India-Israel relationship is not driven by love or friendship or brotherhood or shared values or shared culture. There is this incredible, fantastical belief in India, among the Indian people, that the Israelis and the Jews love India. You know, there must be many Jews and Israelis who like India. No doubt about it, there must be many. And there may be a small minority of them who may possibly love India. But the truth is that most Israelis and Jews overall are at best indifferent about India.
Oh, here we go. This is why he's saying don't twist my words, because now after all the, compliments and stuff about us, now comes the lies. So, okay, let's hear it.